breathe by your rhythmic playing in house clubs. I'm too sexy.
Hi everybody, I'm really glad to be back with you. It's been a very eventful summer here in Toronto. I hope that you and your family and friends have had a good summer. I wish we could say it's been a good summer for women around the city, but it hasn't. As we know, there have been several high-profile sexual assaults happening in different parts of the city over the last couple of months. We've had a horrific murder with the discovery today. I'm speaking to you on September 6th, and today they've discovered yet another suitcase with a woman's body parts in it. Sounds like it probably is the remains of a woman, Guang Hua Liu, who was murdered over the summer, and that's been a very high-profile case. And of course, we know that while we hear about these very high-profile kind of sensational cases in the media, every day women are struggling with violence in their homes, violence at the hands of boyfriends, in their workplaces, sexual assaults of many different kinds, date rape, and of course child sexual abuse. So it's been a summer. You're going to hear all sorts of things blamed, lots of reasons put forward for why these things are happening, particularly these sexual assaults. The media the other day saw a story talking about the heat, and that's why this is happening, especially these stranger assaults. You'll hear that it's because of what women wear, as Christie Ford tweeted the other day. Don't dress like a whore was her advice to women. We've heard that same kind of advice from police officers and many others. People will blame it on the way women are dressed. They'll blame it on the heat. They'll blame it on mental illness, that men are mentally ill or sick in some way. The fact is, folks, that this violence against women happens because we live in a sexist society. And that sexism is worldwide, and that sexism and that patriarchy happens in countries right around the world, including Canada. Patriarchy and sexism may look different in different countries and may be upheld in different kinds of beliefs, but the fact is, underlying violence against women is sexism, is hatred of women, is the belief that men have the right to access to women's bodies at any time on their terms, not on women's terms. And the fact is, however we dress, wherever we're walking, whoever we're in a relationship with, however we conduct ourselves, every woman is vulnerable to these kinds of assaults, and women know that. And but one of the wonderful things that happened this summer in reaction to these particularly sexual assaults at Christie and Bloor was that some women, a few young women, took it into their own hands to organize a fight back, to organize resistance, and to bring neighbors of the Christie Bloor area and the Annex and Trinity Spadina neighborhood downtown, brought people together the other day. And I know Las Perlas, you will have seen the film, the short video that Las Perlas did about the action that happened on Monday, September 3rd in the Christie Bloor area. And this action brought together literally hundreds of people from the neighborhood and from beyond together to march through the streets to demand an end to sexual violence against women. It was a wonderful demonstration. It was spontaneous. It was the result of one young woman saying to herself, we got to do something about this. And she put out a message on Facebook asking people to get together in that neighborhood on the 3rd at 7 p.m. She called up a couple of friends, a couple of other young women who put out the message on their networks. It went, as things do on Facebook, viral, and lo and behold, a few nights later, probably 400 or 500 people gathered at the corner and marched through the streets in a noisy, wonderful, energetic march that focused on the need for women and men to work together to end sexual violence, focused on the need for women to fight back when they are blamed for what happens to them, and really focused on the need to come together and support each other in our communities. And there were many messages given out. Mike Layton, the local councillor, spoke about the need for men to step up and take action against sexual violence, to stop other men from doing this kind of thing. I had a chance to speak about the need to bring these kinds of responses, to have these kinds of responses in a consistent way, the importance for all of us to end oppression of women, to speak up when we see it happening, and to not rely on police and the state for solutions to this. The sad fact is, folks, we don't have leadership at the political level around violence against women. There is no leadership at the police level around violence against women. The best that these folks do is they respond or they react once it's happened, but they have not been able to take action to prevent. It really is up to us to take that action, to educate each other, to talk with our daughters and our moms and our aunts and our nieces and our nephews and our sons and our partners about what we can all be doing to try to some way change this rape culture that we live in. This culture that says that women's bodies are accessible to men. This culture that says that women are rapeable, that some women deserve what happens to them. And the culture that ignores the ongoing epidemic of woman abuse that happens in our home. We take notice when a woman is murdered brutally and her body parts are scattered all over the city. We take notice, but we really drop the subject after that. Our media drops the subject, our police drop the subject, and our politicians drop the subject because they don't know what to do. Because they don't want to tackle the underlying reasons why violence against women can continue to exist. Our politicians are not willing to take the steps that are required. They are not willing to fund the services adequately that women need. They are not willing to build into our curriculum and our schools an ongoing addressing of violence against women issues, violence against children issues. They are not willing to shake up the foundations that support male power over women. They're not willing to change the electoral system, for example, to enable more women, particularly poor women and racialized women, to run for office. It takes sometimes at the top levels millions of dollars to run for office now. And how can women, particularly minority women and poor women, how can women compete with that and get those kinds of resources together? So they're not willing to change that system. They're not willing to look at real pay equity. They're not willing to look and really examine why, even though we have 60% of our post-secondary institutions are 60% of students are women, when we get back, when we finish our education and get into the business world or into the public sector or into the professions, we find that the numbers of women quickly drop off. We don't have adequate childcare for women. We don't support women into the workforce. We don't provide training and accessible training for women who want to go into non-traditional work, for example. We refuse to support women adequately who don't have childcare, need to stay home with their kids, are forced onto welfare. We don't support them adequately. We keep them very, very poor. We don't have politicians looking at ways to break isolation for immigrant women who are new to this country, who are often very, very isolated with their kids and very, very vulnerable to violence. We refuse to incorporate don't ask, don't tell policies that would allow women who don't have legal status in this country to access medical, legal, police, these kinds of supports without fear of deportation. So we have a long way to go in terms of supporting women so that we can protect ourselves against violence from the men in our lives, from strangers on the street. And so that's why we need to increasingly rely on ourselves, on our communities, on people in our neighborhoods to come together and do this work. Because as I say, after years and years and years of pushing and prodding and demanding and demonstrating, we are not seeing that leadership at the political level, and we are not seeing that leadership from our police and our medical institutions. It's just not there. So we have to keep pushing, and we have to keep coming up with solutions, and we have to keep responding and coming together and letting women in our communities know that they are not alone, that there are people who care, and that there are people who are angry about the violence that is happening to women, and we will continue to demonstrate and support each other. And so to that end, there are, of course, every year, I've got my Take Back the Night t-shirt on, one of the most popular ones ever produced by the Toronto Rape Crisis Centre, Multicultural Women Against Rape. Still feminist, still fighting, and indeed that feminism and that fighting spirit and that woman support is strong, and it's present in younger women and men. As a matter of fact, much support and much activism happening among younger people, and really glad to see it. And every year, of course, the Toronto Rape Crisis Centre, Multicultural Women Against Rape, puts on a Take Back the Night march. And that march this year is coming up next week on September 15th. That's Saturday, September 15th. This year, the Take Back the Night March is happening in Parkdale. It's you can meet at the Masaryk Cowan Community Recreation Centre, and that is at Cowan Avenue, just south of Queen and west of Dufferin. The community fair, where you can pick up information and see what's happening in the city, what groups are organizing around issues of violence against women and supports for women. That happens from 4 to 6 p.m. The rally, where you'll hear speakers and see self-defense demonstrations and hear from women in the community, is happening at 6 p.m. and the march itself takes off from there at 8 p.m. Now, in case you didn't get all of that, you can go to www.trccmwar.ca, and we'll put that up on the screen for you. And if you would like to volunteer, you can still do that. You can call Deb Singh at 416-597-1171, extension 230. There are rules for women as marshals in the march, rules for women in helping to set up and take down. Men are welcome at the rally and to accompany the march on the sidelines. If you'd like to show support, men are also welcome to do childcare for their partners or for women in their lives, so that women might be free to attend the march if they don't want to take their kids. But there will be, kids are welcome on the march. So again, it's Saturday, September 15th. And I just want to mention quickly as well, you might not see this in time, but really glad to hear that there is also a Take Back the Night march happening in Scarborough, near the Malvern Town Centre on September 7th. So that's tomorrow night, Friday, September 7th. But really glad to see that there's another Take Back the Night happening. This is what we need. We need to be taking back the night every night of the year. We need to take back the day every day of the year, and we don't need to wait for an organization to do this. All of us can organize these events, get people together, march through the streets, meet at our community centers, gather in our parks, and take them back for women and kids and for all of our community members. Thanks.